Well, I'm not quite sure what happened there. We are still trying to recover from that finish, the last 2 overs. Young man from Uttar Pradesh, Karthik Tyagi, entrusted with the last over, almost nothing to defend, and he ends up conceding just 1 run there. Not too many wickets lost for the chasing side, but they ended up not winning that game. I'm not sure what the laws are in that part of the world, but about theft. But the team from Rajasthan just stole that match from Punjab in the last couple of overs. Incredible stuff. 185 is what Rajasthan got. Looked like a healthy score, but it was made to look pedestrian in the first 10 overs by Mayank Agarwal and KL Rahul. Yes, a few drop catches, but it meant that Punjab were well on their way to victory. Just a mere formality. And it came down to that last couple of overs. 4 runs conceded by Mustafizur Rahman in the 19th, 1 by Karthik Tyagi in the 20th. As I said, theft is probably the only way you can describe that. Shaun Pollock, Harsha Bhogle alongside. I mean, we've seen a few turnarounds, and I think typically we've seen it from this particular franchise, Harsha, losing games from the jaws of victory.
It wasn't a theft. It was an invitation to steal. You know, you have invitations to tender. Like that, I think Punjab put out an invitation to steal. I mean, 2 overs, 8 runs to get. You've got 2 batsmen set. Nicholas Pooran is set. Aiden Markram is set. They're both scoring at 140, 150 strike rate. There's no way you can lose that game. I mean, Fizz bowls a great over, but never underestimate the ability to bottle up a game. I keep going back to what someone told me. The fear of winning sometimes overrides the fear of losing. I mean, how could you lose that game? I mean, okay, let's not take it away from Karthik Tyagi. I just thought those Yorkers, full ball, good to see the Yorker back. But I mean, you can't lose that game. You can't lose that game.
But Shaun Pollock, choice of bowler. I mean, Chris Morris didn't have a great day. He had finished. Mustafizur Rahman, key bowler. He bowled the 19th. He's bowled out his 4. Options were Chetan Sakaria, who has obviously got you a wicket. Karthik Tyagi's not had a great outing. Sanju Samson goes to Tyagi and he delivers.
Yeah, I don't know, I was looking for maybe just the pace, trying to get the ball through there at a bit more pace. But, I'm sure you had Karthik Tyagi in your dream team because, I mean, the way he performed there, there's no doubt that he should have been. And look at that, 12 dot balls and 2 wickets. So really important. Did you not have him, Gautam?
No.
No. Oh, I think you're going to get a letter from his mother saying that you should have definitely had him in your team. Anyway, but it's just, I mean, there were so many things I've just felt through in the game that Rajasthan were doing to defeat themselves. They were defeating the Royals themselves with a couple of the catching, the bowling options, some of the bowlers, the way they performed in the evening, the way they closed out their innings. There were just so many things they didn't do right. So, sure, this must be a real boost of confidence for them to have got over the line, as you say, 8 to defend in 12 deliveries with 2 men set. I mean, that's just unheard of. To hold your nerve, Tyagi got to take the credit. To hold your nerve, he stuck to his game plan. Even when people were moving around the crease, he still went for those wide Yorkers. And with the extra pace, he got them through. So it's a brilliant effort. And sure, I wouldn't want to be in that Punjab dressing room tonight.
I was just going to say...
when is a game over for Punjab? I mean, last year they came here and I think they kept breaking one record after the other for losing from improbable situations, for creating the most outlandish collapses in the history of the tournament. And now this one. So when is a game over for Punjab? I mean, they had to make 100. They had 185 to defend. Rajasthan conceded a 19, a 15, a 16, and a 25. That's 75 of 4 overs Rajasthan conceded.
And drop catches.
Dropped 3 catches of KL Rahul. I mean, I thought Mayank Agarwal played fantastic. I was about to say, when I was making the little notes, not as copious as Polly was doing, because you could see on the picture, Polly was writing a thesis about today's game. But I was just saying, look at it from Punjab's point of view. Openers outstanding. Pooran gets back into form. Markram gets back into form. Shami is in form. Arshdeep delivers at the end. If you see, Punjab were ticking off so many boxes till, I mean, it's like you've come to the station half an hour early. The train is there. And with 3 minutes to go for the train, you decide you want to go to the pharmacy and that's about 5 minutes away and get something.
Yeah, as Shaun was saying, in terms of being in that dressing room, it should have been a 42nd birthday party for Chris Gayle, but instead it's going to be the likes of Andy Flower and Anil Kumble delivering some sort of a chatter. I'm not sure if that happens every time, or is there anything left to be said for a game like that, Shaun?
Yeah, I think that's often when the coaching staff just go quiet because what do you say? I mean, you've got to allow the emotion to subside, and in those circumstances, you're going to be very emotional as a coach. You basically banked on the 2 points. I mean, everything's going according to plan with 2 overs to go. There probably wasn't even a thought in Anil Kumble's mind that they could lose that game. They were probably actually saying, come quickly finish this game because it's going to help our net run rate. Not even contemplating the fact that it could possibly go the other way. And even when it got down to the last over, you're saying to yourself as a coach, I've got my 2 men at the crease there who are on 30-odd. Basically set. They've been there for a period of time. To have that situation unfold, two dots, 4 singles, another single and 2 wickets, and not even bat on ball at times. Sure, that's really criminal. I mean, whenever you lose a game, just 4 wickets down, then you've left some of the artillery back in the dressing room. But under these circumstances, they paced it absolutely perfectly. There was no issues whatsoever. It was just tick all the boxes, as Harsha said, and pick up the points. So, yeah, you don't stop watching. I think there's a few people who are going to wake up in India tomorrow morning and go, what? They lost? I went to bed with maybe a couple of overs to go.
I mean, it opens up the tournament. I'm thinking Mumbai fans or Bangalore fans are saying, go Punjab, because Punjab are virtually, very, very tough to make it. Go Punjab. Rajasthan lose this game. It's very difficult to come back. Suddenly now, Rajasthan have almost caught up with Mumbai. There's just a minor little net run rate difference. And Bangalore are thinking one more game. Oops, suddenly it's opening up. It's one of the great finishes. Punjab have this great ability to generate these finishes. Most often, except for that one Shami super over, most often finding themselves on the wrong side of it. But how do you get over this?
And I think the big thing, Harsha, as Shaun just mentioned, if you look at that scorecard and you need to have know about the game, 183 for 4. It's one thing if you have a collapse. Someone comes in that 16th over, takes 3 wickets, you collapse, you lose wickets in a heap. You tell yourself, listen, somebody bowled well, we collapsed. But you didn't collapse. 183 for 4, you just needed to finish it.
And 2 of those wickets were in the last over.
Yeah. So you were 8 wickets in hand going into the last over with 4 to get.
Yeah, 8 wickets in hand going into the 19th over with 8 runs to get. Both batsmen set. So, sometimes you can look at 183 for 4 and think they dawdled, and then suddenly turned it on and fell only 2 runs short. No, they were ahead of the game right from the time KL Rahul and Mayank Agarwal came out to bat. That fantastic opening partnership. Look how Rahul gets a go straight away, and then Mayank Agarwal gives himself a little time. Then he starts to go for it, and then Puran and the others. I'm still talking like Punjab won it, right?
I suspect if we had looked at the worm would have been ahead all the way till that right at the end. The worm would have looked down and looked up and said, the other worm's ahead of me right at the end.
No, funny enough, I was watching it, and after 16 overs, Rajasthan were 8 runs ahead of where Kings or Punjab Kings were.
Yeah.
So, that's how badly they failed at the back end. We discussed it at the half-time show. What was it, 20-odd runs in the last 4 overs?
Last 4 overs.
Yeah, it was very disappointing the way they finished. So, and then I think Markram might have hit a 6 off Morrison. I think Puran hit a 6 as well. And then they were ahead of where they were. And then it was like, well, that's it. It's done.
Well, here's something for you.
All night and not being able to find an explanation for this.
Sometimes when the target becomes too easy, do you almost say, right, I've got this. Don't do anything stupid. I remember, and I keep going back to that super over that Shami saved, the 5-run over. Rohit Sharma, Quinton de Kock, 5 to get. And they sort of defended one, took a single or one, thinking, look, 5 we're going to get. And suddenly the realization dawns, no, we're not. And I just wonder if that happened here. They said, okay, right, 8 from 2, don't take any chances. We can just knock this off whenever we want. And so just played it out. I wonder if that can happen. I mean, how do you explain that? 10.6 and then 7.7 at the back.
Yeah, in fact, Harsha, on Cricbuzz Combox, we were pretty much running out of topics to talk about. We did acknowledge your 49 in the power play.
Thank you.
In the middle of all that, we did congratulate you. And then towards the end, because the 10th over was the one that went for 25. Before that, we were still saying, okay, can they find a way back? Morris bowls 25 in that over. Then we are like, look, the only way back is pulling a rabbit out of the hat. So let's just end this show. Nothing more to talk about. And that rabbit did end up coming.
Yeah. Polly, how difficult is it to bowl where Karthik Tyagi bowled? I mean, it's a continuously evolving world, this world of T20 bowling. The wide Yorkers were very fashionable. The length ball came back. When you were starting out, when you were playing, the loopy bouncer, the slow bouncer was very much in vogue. As I said, then the wide Yorker came in. Then the length ball came back in. But to deliver those Yorkers as often as he did, it couldn't be easy at all.
No, it's not. I tell you what, if I had to try and work out the mindset of that over, you get the ball and you've got nothing to lose because you have to defend 4 off the last over. And if it happens, you're going to get crashed away. Then all of a sudden you produce a couple of dot balls. You think, oh, maybe, just maybe. You pick up a wicket and then another dot ball. But the last 2 balls are the massive pressure balls because all of a sudden now you could win the game. From having absolutely no chance, probably going to get crashed to the boundary, one of the deliveries. You've produced enough to get your team back into the mix. But now, can you just find 2 more to get yourself over the line? And that's where the key was. That's where he held his nerve brilliantly. And the wickets is always so important. At the back end, it doesn't matter who it is coming to the crease. When you have to face up for 1 or 2 deliveries, you can so easily get into a situation where you play and miss. That's why people, it's often so silly, but you just say bat on ball. You say, well, obviously bat on ball, but it's not that obvious at times. Sometimes you see guys just walk down and just try and get a pad on it so that they can run through for a signal because they know the pressure situation that you can get yourselves into. But also in these kind of games, you often find there's one of those X-factor individuals. And for me, it was the Fizz. You could just tell in that 19th over, they didn't want to take a massive risk. They were quite happy to, well, we're ahead of the game here. Let's not do anything stupid and get ourselves out. And it's always those kind of your Rashid Khans, or when the other side of the scale, when you've got teams that require 60 in 2 overs, and you think, there's no ways it can happen. It's obviously someone like A.B. de Villiers or a Pollard or a Hardik Pandya, those X-factor guys who are still at the crease, who just don't give up on that belief and have got that ability to produce something special.
Yeah, interesting, Harsha. If you assess this game, individual performers are all from the losing side. You've got Mohammad Shami bowled beautifully. Arshdeep Singh took a 5 for. KL Rahul, despite the drop catches, capitalized. And Mayank Agarwal batted fantastically. Then, in 6th place onwards, come the Rajasthan players.
So I was just literally, as you say this, I was going through that scorecard and saying, okay, some people like to give the man of the match award only to someone from the winning side. And I'm thinking, okay, who in Rajasthan is going to win it? Is it Mahipal Lombror? 43 of 17 balls. Is he player of the match? Because he also bowled what? He bowled an over, didn't he?
He did.
Lombror bowled an over for 7.
He bowled the 11th over, yes.
Yeah, is he the player of the match? Because all the performances came on the other side. It's a very bizarre match.
What does that tell you, Shah, about this game? I mean, it tells you that yes, individual performances count, but there are times when it's those small moments versus performances that can actually get you over the line.
I mean, Polly talked about put bat to ball and saying it's obvious. And people will say, yeah, there you go, Captain Obvious, when you say it ain't over till it's over. But it's true, it isn't over. And I wonder sometimes if next time Punjab go on the field, they might just say, listen, strangest things can happen. We are just doing a 19-over chase, man. You never know what happens to us in the last over. But surely, I mean, Punjab aren't getting out of this now. I mean, I'm just looking at the points table now as I speak. And Punjab are 3-6. They've got 5 games to play. They've got to win each of their 5 games now to have any chance.
Yeah, the old fat lady would have been there in the start of the 19th over in front of the microphone, ready to croon but just lost her voice on the sixth ball of the last over.
Polly, the only thing the fat lady was holding on was Gautam's team.
No, I think she had given up on his team as well.
Yeah, I guess the only thing that performed even worse than Punjab's ability to finish a game was my 11.
Yeah, but I will say this. I mean, I pull your leg a lot. You win more than you lose. So I mean, it's just one of those days when you couldn't resist. But yeah.
But yeah,
I mean, listen. What does it mean for Rajasthan? What does it mean for Rajasthan to pull a win out like that from a game that was completely gone? Their coach is probably sitting and making notes about all the things they did wrong, and all of a sudden they went one win away from being in the top half.
Yeah, you could see the delight. I mean, you could see when the likes of Sangakkara came up there, it was disbelief. I mean, for all the cricket that he will have watched and been a part of, he was like a little child running onto the field going, "We did win, right? Please confirm that we have won this game." Yes, we have. Now let's celebrate.
Oh,
yeah, it's those are the kind of things, you start to, as a team, you start to think, well, maybe it's just our year. Maybe it's just everything is going to go according to plan. We've had so much bad luck with regards to all our overseas pros haven't been available. They haven't been able to come back. Nothing's really gone away. But the only thing I would say is when I look at that side, I'm thinking, who's my guy I'm going to depend on at the back end of the tournament? Who's the 2 or 3 match winners? It's not as clear for me in their unit as it is in a couple of the other teams who's sitting at the top of the table.
Well, I can tell you, it has been an X factor because they did go by that pressure last over. Man of the match, Karthik Tyagi.
Actually, it's fair. Maybe they have given it to Fizz and Tyagi, but yeah, for Tyagi to defend 4 overs, it's a fair call.
So yeah, it's interesting going away from that the theory of the best individual performer. They didn't win the match, but more than the points, Harsha. As we have a look at the points table, it's just that relief, the mental, the relief. I can't think of a word better than relief that you've got to 8 points to know that now we can win from any situation. That will catapult them even more than the points.
I mean, I'm just looking at that. Tomorrow is Hyderabad playing against Delhi. What if Hyderabad? No, Hyderabad have 7 to play and they've got to win all 7 really to get to 8 wins. But won't it be fantastic if Warner just rediscovers his form and turns his table upside down? But there's pressure now on Mumbai after that result in the first game and this Rajasthan result. I wonder if Bangalore lose one more, then it'll start to show on Bangalore. But I think they've got enough in the bank there, Bangalore on 10 points. But Mumbai is the tricky one. Mumbai KKR is the next game. They simply have to win that game.
Yeah, otherwise you're going to have a logjam on 8 points. It's going to be lots of fun and games. 2 teams coming in with very, very different mindsets. But that's, of course, 2 days away. The 2 teams we have not yet seen in this phase of the tournament. The second phase of the tournament will be in action next. And that's the game we're going to talk about next. It's Delhi versus Hyderabad. Match number 33 from the same venue in Dubai. We've seen 6 teams in action. This is top versus bottom. It's number 2 playing number 8 at the moment. Hyderabad had a season to forget, the first half of the season. As Harsha mentioned, can they find a way to turn it around? Maybe they'll be watching this game and saying, if anyone can defend 4, we can win 7 out of 7. Surely, anything's possible. And if you have a look at the squad...
Yeah, I mean, you think of Hyderabad, and who's the first player that comes to mind when you think of Hyderabad? Yeah, there's Bhuvneshwar. Yes, there's Kane Williamson. You think Hyderabad, you think Warner, right? And they dropped Warner from the side midway through. They took away the captaincy. They dropped him from the side. He's now certain to play, and that's only because Johnny Bairstow has gone away. And I heard something very interesting that in the warm-up games, Kedar Jadhav was keeping wickets. So I wonder if there's some method by which they want to play Roy and Warner both up front and have Kedar Jadhav keep wickets. I wonder if they're just trying it out in case it's an emergency, because that'll be really hard on Saha.
Yeah, but they've got two keepers. They've got Sriraj Goswami if they were to need someone up front. But again, it's not that they've got a lack of a keeper. But really, 4 overseas players from here. David Warner, Captain Williamson, Rashid Khan. That's 3. You have 1 to choose from.
That's 3. So do you think that you need, because your seam bowling isn't what it was 4 years ago, that you need the support of Jason Holder and also a calm head in a chase at 6? So do you need Jason Holder? Do you say, no, hang on, the spinners are doing okay. Nabi is a big finisher. Can I use Nabi? Or do I just go back to the old template where we had Warner, Bairstow, Williamson all playing, and I go with Roy and back my Indian bowlers and Rashid Khan to do the job for me? Because there's enough Indian bowlers there. Natarajan's going to come back. Khalil is there. Bhuvneshwar is there. They've got enough Indian bowling. So whether they go in with 3 or overseas batsmen.
Shaun, I'm just going to throw one more X factor in there. Given that the Caribbeans are the flavor of the month right now, since they've come in with match practice, Shafin Rutherford's an option.
Yeah, he is, but I'd be very surprised if they went that route, considering the rest of the squad and the guys who've been sitting around. I think Bobby's reintroduction is a big plus for them. And I think that then you look around, you think, okay, we've got some bankers. I think in the past, some of their bowling options, you haven't really had the bankers for 4 overs. Bobby is a banker, and that's why I think they could be contemplating having the 3 hitters at the top of the order. So you got Williamson, you got Warner, and then maybe Roy. I think when Bairstow and them were mixing and maybe Warner wasn't playing, I don't think they were that confident in their bowling. So they wanted a little bit more balance, a little bit more help in that department. But I don't think they require that now.
Well, they've always had these options to choose from. Among all the franchises, the choice of 4 overseas somehow has been a talking point more for the Orange Army than for others. Jason Holder has been a calming factor. He could possibly be a front runner instead of Jason Roy. But let's talk about the team that are in the top 4. They've been flying high the last couple of seasons. Maybe they felt that this could quite be their season. Again, in terms of
just picks themselves.
The South African
the 11
bowling
picks itself.
The 11 seems to be picking itself here.
It's much like Mumbai. The 11 just picks itself here.
Yeah. I mean, they've obviously been untouched, haven't they? But I mean, everyone's returned. Everyone knows their places where they've been. They're top of the table. They're in a good position. They'll trust the guys who've done the job already. So I think they're in a really good space. And also, I mean, if you had to think of picking anyone to start your campaign again against, I think the Sunrisers would be the team that you'd be hoping to start and get back to winning ways. But it looks like a strong squad there when you have a look at all the different options they've got. And they've got everything to deal with whatever conditions present themselves in the day. I would be very surprised if it's a new surface. I think it would be the same pitch as it was used today. I don't think they've got time to prepare anything else. And it looked like a belter of a surface. So I'd want your balance to be pretty well balanced with them being able to mix it up. I think the slow balls and the cutters and a little bit of spin would be an effective options.
Perhaps it's still one choice, Harsha. In terms of overseas players, if you've got Rabada and Nokia already there, and you put Steve Smith into the 11, they've got the choice between Hetmeyer and Marcus Stoinis.
No, I think they play both Hetmeyer and Stoinis. I mean, Hetmeyer, if he comes off, can win you a game. Hetmeyer did that a couple of times. He was Guyana Amazon Warriors, right? He did that a couple of times. He's had a couple of good games even in the first installment. So I see them playing a Hetmeyer kind of person simply because they've got Shreyas Iyer back. So they can now play Shreyas Iyer at 3, Hetmeyer at 4, Rishabh Pant at 5, Stoinis at 6. Or even if the fancies push Stoinis up as a big hitter and adjust the batting order accordingly, Hetmeyer as a finisher at 6, then Akshar and Ashwin. Rabada can bat towards if you need a couple of big hits at the end. And I think the best thing is it allows Nokia to come back. So you got Rabada, Nokia, and Avesh Khan. That's a pretty good quick bowling attack. Ashwin and Akshar with Stoinis as your 6th bowler. I think you've got all bases covered there.
Yeah, I think we forget that Nokia didn't play, did he, at the back end because they wanted to get Steve Smith in, and that was to do with Shreyas Iyer not playing. So yeah, I think once he's reintroduced, they might go back because that was a really good combination for them. And obviously, I'm a South African. I'm not just saying it because of that, but Nokia and Rabada were pretty instrumental in their performance last year. So
you're basically, to sum it up, you're saying Shreyas Iyer plays the Steve Smith role, and that's that settles the 11 right there.
Yeah.
With a little more flamboyance, I think.
Or with a little less flamboyance.
Well, not in terms of movements at the crease. I mean, look, we've got to be cognizant of the fact that we're talking about a great when we talk about Steve Smith, but I'm not sure whether he's really quite owned the T20 format in much the same manner. So, given that a Nokia at the back end on these pitches is likely to be more useful, and given that there is now a very good option at the top of the order, it just makes sense. But they have one change. Who went out? They've got the Dwarshu is back. They've got to get an Aussie back. Who's it? They lost somebody, so when Dwarshu comes in,
Chris Wokes is the one who went out, and in came Ben Dwarshuis.
Yeah, Chris Wokes went out.
So they actually forget how good a squad they've got. I mean, Ashwin was also he pulled out because of COVID. I think it was the last game or two he didn't play. When you look at their squad, they really do have all bases covered. Sometimes you forget who they got as the backroom. I mean, even Ishan Sharma, we've hardly seen much of him. Amit Mishra,
whenever he got a chance, Amit Mishra came in, picked up wickets.
So he was really good in Dubai last year, wasn't he? Before he got injured. Sure, yeah.
They've got that Lalit Yadav is a good player. This Delhi boy Lalit Yadav is a good player. They've got Umesh Yadav, who's just come off a really good test match. He's in good rhythm. Umesh Yadav, Ishan Sharma there. They played that Meriwala for one of the games. But they've got Sam Billings, who's a proper T20 batsman in there as well. I think they could actually put out 17, 18 players out of there.
Yeah.
It just shows two contrasting approaches is what we expect from blue versus orange when they take the field. One comfortable, lots of players to choose from, top of the table. The other desperate for anything they can lay their hands on. Should make for a fascinating clash. And we'll, of course, be there to preview it and talk through it as well. We've also had our good quizzing friend Joy Bhattacharya. It seems a long time ago that he set this question to us. Yesterday it was technically, except for Harsha, who will remind us he is 1.5 hours behind us. So is
Varun
Shaun,
Kamotaran, Azhar Andani, and Paul
Sterling. That's the one we know. Then whose name is first on the list? We didn't have a clue on this one. We had to probably work our way from Paul Sterling. Let's go straight to the answer. A lot of you have been asking. A lot of you have been sending in answers. Chris Gayle, centuries in T20 internationals. Azhar for Portugal, Varun for Malta, and Paul Sterling for Ireland.
This is the first century in T20 internationals for their side. I think it should be the first century in T20 internationals. So Chris Gayle scored the first T20 for them. Is that what it is? So why isn't that list? So why isn't in that list someone who made the first 100 for South Africa, someone who made the first 100 for Papua New Guinea?
Yeah, I think
Portugal,
again,
Malta, Malta, Ireland. Malta and Ireland. Joy is really going on a ride, man.
Ireland's okay, but Portugal and Malta are the ones you've got to be worried about.
I mean, I can understand if good old Moises Henriques goes and plays for Portugal, like Roelof van der Merwe was going and playing for Holland. Okay, well done, Joy. That was a serious bumper.
But I still don't get the answer.
Yeah, I suspect it would be the first for their respective countries, or maybe in that order. Maybe were they the first four to get?
Oh, okay. So if you had to look at they were the ones who got the first T20 for their country.
Correct.
But what is the order in terms to years? And so Gale's been playing it for longer, so he would have been first.
So Gale got the first ever T20 100, and it happened to be for the West Indies. Then you had 2, 3, 4, and then the others followed.
Yes, in that list. Okay, I got it. Sorry, Joy, I'm a bit slow on the uptake.
Yeah. So there he was. Numbers 2, 3, and 4.
Did anybody get it?
Yes,
did anybody get it?
And it's a new winner, I believe. Who we have to congratulate. He's got to be a bit of a cricket nuffy. Nuffy. Manan Mehta, I'm not sure what that quite means, but for now, all it means is you're a cricket nut. Cricket nuffy. That's going to be the word we're going to use for this week. Well done, Manan Mehta.
Cricket nuffy.
Yeah, cricket nuffy. It just sounds like you've got to be a cricket nut. It just sounds like the kind of person, Manan, if you're not on Cricbuzz Plus, you should get on there right now. If you could answer that question and you haven't subscribed to Cricbuzz Plus, there's something wrong. So you, Manan
But listen,
Mehta,
what
and
does it
everyone
tell
out
you?
there.
Yeah. Yeah. What does it tell you about how many people play cricket? That Malta has 100. That Portugal has 100. I saw a scorecard once, Germany versus Italy.
Well,
I also
those are
noticed
still
that
better
Jade
known
Dernbach.
teams.
Yeah.
Yes, Jade
I
Dernbach is
noticed
going to be
Jade
playing
Dernbach is going in for somebody.
to play for Italy.
Jade Dernbach is going to play for Italy.
Correct.
There's Joe Scuderi, the Australian first-class player who was captain of Italy for a while. Okay.
Yes, and if you remember, few Cricbuzz lives ago, you were getting on my case for following the Czech Republic League, which I followed very closely. Don't laugh, I did.
Paul is thinking, what on earth have I got into here? Someone's watching Malta, someone's watching the Czech Republic, Czech League. Yeah.
You guys have
And
lost me.
what about the Vanuatu League?
I haven't got there yet. We'll ask Manan Mehta. If you know anything about that, write into us, #Cricbuzz Live, Cricket Nuffy, and tell us a bit about cricket in Vanuatu. But that's the world of cricket. It's ever expanding. It keeps us on our toes. It keeps us busy. And it just is wonderful how global this game can be. But it's been a result that we're still trying to digest. Rajasthan have taken that out of nowhere. Punjab's game to win, and it somehow didn't go their way. That's all we have for you just after midnight Indian time. Wherever you in the world you happen to be, it was a result to savor for the men in pink. Thank you, Harsha. Thank you, Shaun. That's all from Cricbuzz Live, brought to you in association with our fantasy partner, My 11 Circle.